Hello, welcome to this edition of Momentum. I'm Robert Green, your host. We're fortunate today to be joined by Dr. John Ramirez-Avila, professor in the Richard A. Rula School of Civil and Environmental Engineering. He also has his Watersheds and Water Quality Research Lab, and he is also the faculty advisor for our Engineers Without Borders chapter. So, Dr. Ramirez, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much
for being here. I'd like to start. Tell us how you came to be here. I know you're originally from Columbia, and your first engineering degree was in agricultural engineering, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And now here you are, a civil engineering professor. Tell us a little bit about that path. How did you end up getting interested in engineering, and then specifically where you are now?
Well, it begins with, I always loved numbers, maths, and computers were my passion. I thought at some point I was going to be involved with systems engineering, but I realized, and with all respect, that I didn't want to be in an office. I wanted to be outside. And another passion that I had was environmental and natural resources. That was something that triggered me. And I started looking for opportunities, for alternatives. I got a great friend from high school who was already into the ag engineering program. He introduced me to the program. He showed me the components, and he showed me what I was looking in the sense of, at the end of the line, kind of getting involved into environmental and water resources. So, yeah, and that's what I became there, and I involved. I took several classes in my electives. I took several classes, more than was needed, in the topic and the area, and then jump over there. That helped me significantly for continuing my master's and finally my doctorate degree here at MSU.
Yeah, and I believe you got your master's in Puerto Rico?
Yes, sir. My master's in soil sciences in Puerto Rico. I was crazy about learning of soil and water conservation. I got that great opportunity over there, and that builds up a new additional experience and skills. And since being there, I really wanted to do my emphasis in water resources engineering, focus on sedimentation processes. That was my goal for the PhD, and I got that blessing when I had the opportunity to be here working with Dr. Bill McAnally and Dr. James Martin at that time. Yeah. That was an incredible journey and a great opportunity for me.
So how was your experience as an international student? You know, different countries, different educational systems. Were there any difficulties or any things that you thought were particularly good?
English.
Okay.
That was the most biggest difficulty. And I mean, I felt well. I was not an excellent student, but I was a student that gives the best in the academic component. But I had a lack of proficiency in English. That was kind of the first limitation that I had, especially when I came here. When I went to Puerto Rico, that was not a difficulty. It was in Spanish, the program. So although all the documents, papers, books, everything was in English, that was my first kind of element of limitation. But once I was planning to come here, of course, I had to prepare the TOEFL, the GRE, and that was kind of the challenging period, but everything went well. Fortunately, I was able to work with that, and I got the interview with my advisors. And once I was here, incredible people helping, collaborating, guiding, and has been a great opportunity that I got into.
Well, I suspect some of our native students would say they also struggle with English, so you're probably on par there. Tell me a little bit about your Watersheds and Water Quality Research Lab. What does it do?
Our Watersheds and Water Quality Research Lab is a hub for applied research on environmental and water resources. So right now we are working with different areas of study like surface and subsurface hydrology, water quality monitoring and modeling. My passion, erosion, surface and stream erosion. That actually was the component of my dissertation when I worked here at MSU. All of them integrated, so we are kind of translating. We are using the Catalpa Creek watershed, actually the area that drains all the runoff water from campus and part of the Starville city as an experimental lab. Why Catalpa Creek? Several faculty. I joined a great group of several faculty that we prepared a water management plan that was approved by the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality and EPA in order to work in implementing different activities that improve the health of the watershed of the area. So we are working with undergraduate students, graduate students, performing different assessments, physical, chemical, biological, hydrological monitoring in all the elements. In addition to that, we also collaborate with different peers from MSU and the USDA department, the USDA Agricultural Research Service and Natural Resources Conservation Service in the region of the Mississippi Delta in order to support what is known as the nutrient reduction strategy. So that's kind of the two main areas that we are working with the different elements that I mentioned that are the paths for our research and our work.
Okay. Well, I suspect some of our viewers may know what a watershed is and some may not. Is there a definition, a description you could give us of exactly what constitutes a watershed?
Sure. A watershed is an area of land that collects all the rainfall excess that happen, all the precipitation that at some point doesn't infiltrate, moves as runoff through the surface, and it usually connects together, and we are delimiting or delineating a watershed in one point. That one point could be a water body that receives that water moving. It could be a stream, it could be a river, it could be a lake, it could be the bay. So we all live in a watershed. And one of the elements that we also want to work with our lab is to build up that knowledge about how important for us is to get to know our area and help to contribute to reduce the impact that we are having in that watershed or in that area we are living in.
Okay. Well, I know one of the organizations you're involved with is Engineers Without Borders. I suspect most people have heard of Doctors Without Borders, but not many have heard of Engineers Without Borders. Can you tell us a little bit about EWB and your role in it?
Sure, sir. EWB is an organization that conveys volunteers, not necessarily engineers in general terms, because we are looking into the performance of engineering projects with the main goal of helping communities in need with different infrastructure problems or different situations that are kind of impacting the basic needs. So we are involving all these volunteers in order to fulfill those projects, work together with the communities and get, well, quite of the benefit that they are looking for and they are in need for.
Okay.
That's essentially.
Yeah. Well, this past summer, I believe you took a group of students to Ecuador to do some work. Maybe it wasn't this summer, but why Ecuador and what kind of projects did you do there?
Sure. Last time we went actually was last fall. Not this one, the one that has passed. Why Ecuador? I took the group in 2021 when the past faculty advisor was Dr. Dennis Truas left. The project was already selected, but I know in understanding that they were concluding the project in Zambia, a great project, a fantastic experience for all the students that were involved in there. And they were looking, since Spanish is quite of one of the languages that many students are working as a minor or at some point also in need or a growing language here in the USA. They were at some point looking for a project in Latin America, also for some logistic reasons. No specific decision on Ecuador. They look into the different opportunities and projects that were submitted to EWB, and they found this one that is focusing on replacing one water supply system that is kind of in significant deficiency to help or to contribute in the wellness of around 120 people in a beautiful region that is called Santa Teresita in Ecuador. It's a beautiful community, and so that's what we essentially started working. So we travel to Ecuador, we visit the area, we visit the people, and we collect data that is technical, but also social, because the projects don't necessarily are all the time in issues associated with technical, with problems with water or problems with the infrastructure, but also with the management. So we have to bound both components in that way that we can improve the final, because at the end we can develop a project, and then that project could be working technically perfect, but if there is a mismanagement in the project, it's not going to be operating properly for a long time. And then in a short period of time, it's going to come back to what actually is the problem that we could have right now, and it's not proper distribution of water to other different areas in the community, only in the upper part of the community itself.
Okay. Well, I know you don't just hop on a plane and go do these projects. There's a lot of planning and logistics involved and lots of roles for students. Can you sort of walk us through quickly the development of one of these projects and the role students can play?
Yes, sir. The role of the students is significantly high in many aspects. It's not only, as you just mentioned, it's not only the project itself. The project itself involves, of course, planning, administrative planning, a lot of paperwork with DWB and even with MSU when we are planning on traveling as well. But in addition to that, we have, of course, to work with the data collection in the field, with the assessment of the data, the analysis, the interpretation, the proposal of the designs, and then the components associated to the trip itself. But in addition to that, we have to do other activities here on campus with the students that probably are not able to get involved with us to go. They could help here with the fundraising. We need funding. We need support. This is a volunteer action. We don't have money assigned anywhere. MSU, of course, collaborate and contribute. There are particulars that also help in that way, but we still need to get more funding to be able to implement the project. So it's a distribution of tasks. We have a great group of leaders. The students are those who lead the group. I just kind of stay behind curtains and I interact with them. I suggest elements, but they are always great people organizing and managing all the organization that works properly in that direction.
Well, I know the students are certainly helping the communities where they go to work. What are the students getting out of it? What are the reasons they might want to get involved? Well,
they get involved because they really want to contribute. They kind of know what EWB is. They want to contribute. They want to, from what is going to be their future exercise, they want to show or they want to learn what they can do and get additional skills and a learning process. In addition to that, something that I really love is that they realize the significant difference of implementing projects outside of the U.S. In the U.S., probably we have more opportunities, not significant limitations. There are big projects. Over there could be small projects, but a significant amount of limitations for access, for funding, for even interaction with the community or decisions in the culture of the community could at some point be a factor that limit that decision. So they enrich themselves in that learning. In addition to that, and something really quick that I want to mention, a couple of them came back with the idea to continue working a master's degree in community engagement or community development. That's something really great and positive that comes from many of them.
Sounds like a win-win for everybody.
Yes, sir.
So how would a current student or even a prospective student go about getting involved with Engineers Without Borders?
We usually at the beginning of the semester have meetings, invitational meetings. Everybody can be part of it. Not necessarily even engineers. We open. It could be civil engineers, mechanical engineers, system engineers, any major, even people that doesn't necessarily need to be from engineering, because as I mentioned, there are some social aspects that we also have to involve. And we really look into that interaction of those components. We open the invitation to anybody on campus for our meetings, and then through the meetings, we work together, we advance into the different activities that we perform, and then they themselves kind of select in order to decide who is going to go to the trip. Usually it's more, I want to go, so I get involved through the semester, I participate, and then I am part of the team that goes to the field work that we do at the specific location.
Right. Well, thank you for all you're doing to provide this opportunity to our students. I know you do much more. We didn't have a chance to talk about, from the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers to teaching courses and all, but thanks for what you do, particularly for Engineers Without Borders. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you all for joining us as well, and I hope to see you next month on Momentum.